if there's one thing as a Sonic fan that we have to put up with every day, is all the negative harassment and bullying you get just for vocalizing anything positive about the franchise.
Sonic and his friends are so annoying.
Everyone needs to shut up.
Sonic was never
This
good.
game will stop before it's even
Sonic
long.
should die.
Yeah, something like that. But the thing is, all of those complaints come from the modern era of Sonic the Hedgehog, specifically 2005 onwards. Between you and me, the Dark Age of Sonic only lasted about 4 years, 2005 to 2008, with some gems mixed in, of course. Aside from the adventure era of Sonic, the classic era seems to be this impenetrable, unpoppable bubble where apparently nothing bad ever happened. Lies! Look, it's okay. All of Sonic's history has had bad games littered throughout. Even other franchises suffer from it. Final Fantasy has 8 and the 13 trilogy. Mario has Sunshine and half the party games. And Spyro with, oh god! I was genuinely curious about what is the worst classic Sonic game. Like, obsessively so. I did research and math. I looked at every game released between 1991 and 1997. I looked at the review scores then and now, tallied them together to get an average score, and comparing that average score of today, which is somehow a 6 of all things. You know, I think an average is basically middle of the road, which is a 5, and above that is above average. You know what? Forget it. It's 6. And these were the games that scored below a 6. Sonic Drift 2, Sonic Blast, Sonic the Fighters, and Sonic Labyrinth. And I know what you're thinking. Sonic Spinball, Sonic 3D Blast, and Sonic R all scored above a 6, with Sonic R getting the highest. But when am I ever going to talk about these games? So on the list they go. Anyway, let's take a look at what is scientifically proven to be the worst classic Sonic games of all time, from the best of the worst to the worst of the worst. I said worst 4 times in one sentence! There are several reasons why this is bad. Firstly, there's no Grand Prix. It says there is, but it's just cycling back to the menu to choose one of 5 tracks. Second, there's no real AI balancing. Sonic and Knuckles are the best of the standard races before you unlock the robot clones and Super Sonic. And even when you have all the races unlocked, there is just 2 tiers of challenge, standard and hard, depending on which racer you choose from, meaning there's no mixing of races either. You pick Tails though? Well, race against Super Sonic, Metal Knuckles, and Egg Robo. No exceptions. And furthermore, the controls are stiff, the constant replaying of races just to unlock the other races gets real tedious, real fast, and finally, the other modes, such as Balloon and Tag, are just worthless unless you have a friend, in which case, good luck. And I still like this game! No, I'm not kidding! I think it mainly has to do with childhood nostalgia, because it was only one of 3 Saturn games I owned. This, Sonic 3D, and Croc. Yeah, Croc was on the Sega Saturn. It was only on Sony and Sega consoles. How's that for burning bridges? It makes sense if you actually know the history of Croc and whatever. This game has many faults, especially the Saturn version, which does not have all the features the PC and Gems Collection part has, such as the weather conditions and a greater draw distance. But it's one of the few games I really don't mind playing from the start, as I did that nearly every day on the Saturn because I did not own a memory cartridge. Except for one time where, even though I played it the night before and turned it off, when I woke up and played it in the morning, the save file was still there. I do not have an answer for that. But still, Sonic R is my guilty pleasure. Plus, there are mods for the PC version that not only fix a few of its issues, but can be played in widescreen for a more definitive experience. Moving on to Sonic's first 3D game experience is Sonic 3D Flicky's Island. Yeah, I know it says Blast, but I refuse to call it that. And this box art, this sucks! This is a much better box art. Yeah, it's a little creepy, but that's why I love it. And that logo. So good! Region-specific box art aside, what of the game? Well, it's not what you expect, to be honest. From an isometric view, the goal is to find and rescue all the captured flickies trapped within badniks scattered across the stages. Once you have them following you like the Pied Piper, you can take them to a ring where they are saved and you can move on to the next part of the stage or the next act. And you do this for all but one act and bosses. It is a collectathon while still having the elements of a Sonic game. Rings, power-ups, platforming, speed, and cameos from Tails and Knuckles, as you pay them to send you to the special stage for Chaos Emeralds. What?! The inhabitants are in danger and you want me to pay for your pilot's license renewal fee? Piss off! Besides that last point, why do people hate this game? This is not some guilty pleasure thing like I have with Sonic R. I genuinely think this is a good game. Is it because it's not a traditional platformer like what came previously? Well, usually developers start experimenting after a few games to see what changes they can bring to the franchise. Is it lack of speed? Well, the game's not designed for it. It's a collectathon in isometric view. Or is it because it's not a truly 3D game like the title says it is, and it's more 2.5D? Well, this is a good in-between between people transitioning from 2D to 3D, as a lot of people suffered from 3D motion sickness at the time of the PlayStation and N64. No, that's a real thing, look it up! The biggest criticisms I'd give it is the AI of the different coloured flickies, Red, you're pissing me off, and Rusty Ruin's level design. But the graphics look great, the music is awesome, so much so that it got reused in Sonic Adventure, and Sonic 4 I guess. Out of the three versions, the Mega Drive is very nostalgic, though the Saturn version has better special stages. The PC is an in-between, Saturn music but choppy looking special stages. Now for the one that's going to get me in a lot of trouble. Sonic Spinball. I don't like it very much. Ow. For many, this is a very nostalgic game, and it was for me too. I remember loving this game as a kid and its bizarre but straightforward concept. It's Sonic in a pinball machine. What's not to love about that? Well, point is, that's just all surface level, because the game itself, well, sucks. Now I know I've broken the hearts of many fans of this game, but I really cannot defend it. Over the years, the nostalgia for Spinball has worn out, and what we have is a concept that failed to marry the best of two worlds. It all boils down to the controls and gameplay, but stepping back, the presentation is pretty good. It's not Sonic 2, but I like the bright colours and grungy backgrounds, as well as its own unique take on Sonic's design, being more in line with the cartoons at the time, which makes sense as the cast of Sat.AM do make cameos. And the music is where most of the nostalgia lies. It is very Genesis, in a good way, as I'm pretty sure some of you are humming along to the Toxic Caves theme right now. Especially you, Zach! But as I said, the gameplay and controls, which is the very core of any game, ruin what enjoyment you get from the presentation. Everything just feels sluggish and awkward, like when pressing jump and then half a second later, does he react? I know the game is not a platformer, but when you add platforming in, can it at least work? And that's not going into the physics of the game. Aside from being able to change your trajectory while bouncing all over the place, it seems like that no matter which pixel on the blasted flipper I launched Sonic from, he seems to go in the same direction as he went for the last 500 times. The physics are a massive troll in the game, where they can work to your advantage or dick you over. Remember the badniks in Lava Powerhouse that you need to bounce off of to get a leg up? Yeah, literal minutes spent trying to do that. A minor gripe I have is with the stage's layouts. They get ridiculously big and confusing when you're flying about trying to find the Chaos Emeralds. But the gameplay and controls overshadow that. At least the bonus stages are fun. I'll say this again. I know that this game is highly nostalgic to a lot of you, but nostalgic doesn't mean good. Maybe like me, it can look past its flaws like with Sonic R and enjoy it for what it is and be a guilty pleasure game. But I cannot get over how frustrating it is to play. Now, I've already did a review on Sonic the Fighters, and I still stand by what I said then. And to represent this on the shelf, I'm just going to put Sonic Gems Collection. Sonic the Fighters is more of a party game than a tournament fighter at EVO and the like. The gameplay balances its easy to learn and difficult master controls with its special combos, plus there is an auto setting for beginners. I love how the game looks with its 90s arcade aesthetics, and the soundtrack is so catchy it should be illegal. What's more is that you can download the HD version with hidden characters such as Honey on your Xbox and play online. I'm not sure if you could find anyone to fight, but the option's there. Do you remember that big argument when Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing was announced and everyone complained that Sonic needing a car to race was ludicrous? Yeah? Were you one of those critics? Yeah? Sonic Drift 1 and 2 came out in 1994 and 1995 respectively. You're not cute for pointing it out! Now, Super Mario Kart was the biggest game in 1992 and 93 as usual. Every game developer, including Sega, wanted a piece of that pie. But how could you put this onto this? You can't. So what we have is a scaled back racer for Sega's handheld, the Game Gear. While there's only 4 characters and 3 power-ups that are used automatically upon pickup, there are 18 tracks based on the zones from Sonic 1. That's actually pretty impressive for a Game Gear title. Add to that a decent presentation that may or may not make you sick, and you have Sonic Drift. And you know what? This game is not that bad at all. I seriously was going to go off on this and say how it's just an unplayable mess of a kart racer, and how magazine critics at the time, as well as the critics of Mega Collection Plus, cite it as an unplayable game. They are wrong, because it's not that hard to figure out how the game actually works. True, it took me a couple of races to figure out how the game actually works, but let's face it, the Game Gear only has 3 buttons and a D-pad, and one of those is the start button. There's only so many ways you can mess this up. It's all about using the brake sparingly when turning corners. Once you have that nailed down, then the rest of the races are a breeze, until you have to race on the next 2 cups where the AI gets more aggressive. And what's interesting is that Sonic Drift was never released outside of Japan. The rest of the world wouldn't get their first taste of this game until Sonic Adventure DX, and as I said before, Mega Collection Plus. Instead, we all got Sonic Drift 2, which in Europe was renamed Sonic Drift Racing. This is a major improvement over the original. More characters, open-ended tracks, and more power-ups to use just by hitting up on the D-pad. A bit awkward, but let's face it, you were just using left and right to turn. Plus, each character has a unique ability that could be used when you have enough rings. This makes the CPU players a lot more cocky, especially Tails, who just loves to launch over you. It's still a 4-way race, but you can decide who you want to race against, or let the game choose for you. Between these 2 games, I prefer the sequel over the first game because it adds what was missing and more. But seriously, I am honestly surprised by how not bad they are. Replay them. They deserve an apology. Sonic Blast. Not 3D Blast. Just Blast. Yeah, that won't get confusing. And what's interesting is that in Japan, this was called G-Sonic. G. What's the G stand for? Huh? Gear? As in Game Gear? Is that what the G stands for? Tell me! Now this is a traditional platformer, and the last 4 were great. Sonic 1 is one of my all-time favourites. Sonic 2 was hard, but amazing. Chaos was different but good, and Trouble Trouble is a fan favourite. Now, classic Sonic platforms are always gold, so what could possibly be wrong with... Oh god, that's dreadful. To be fair, it's not terrible, and it's quite serviceable as a standard 2D Sonic game. Sonic and Knuckles as playable characters, 5 3-act zones based on colours, special stages to collect the Chaos Emerald shards, and unique bosses. The problem is that they put way too much effort into the 3D look of the game and little else. The game is so by the numbers of a Sonic game that I got bored easily while playing. It is impressive that they managed to get Sonic & Co looking like 3D Blast, but everything else is just so bland and lifeless. Look, this boss is taking place in a black room. Whee, exciting! Even the stages themselves are just one note. Sure, there's a loop here, and lava there, and a special stage over yonder, and that's it. There is nothing special about Sonic Blast. Again, not a bad game, but compared to what came before, it's just a disappointment. Although compared to Sonic Genesis and Game Boy Advance, I'm guessing this is a underrated gem. You wanna know something? Before I even started this project by telling all the scores about the worst classic Sonic games of all time, I knew for a fact that Sonic Labyrinth was going to be number 1. Guess what? It is! Big whoop! So, what is Sonic Labyrinth? Well, it's an isometric puzzle game where you spin dash around a maze, collect keys, and head to the exit. And that's about it. No, wait, I forgot. After 3 acts, there's a boss battle, because this is a Sonic game. Now, this doesn't look too bad, but it just doesn't feel right. I know the gameplay doesn't really showcase how bad this game controls, but believe me, it is near impossible to play. I know what you're thinking. Why doesn't the Sonic run around and collect the keys and go to the exit? Because he has super slowdown shoes, courtesy of Robotnik. That's the story. He has to get his super high speed back by collecting the Chaos Emeralds, which powered the slowdown shoes to begin with. So you have to spin dash all over the place to find the keys and get to the gate, and every time you get hit, the keys go flying like the rings. It's frustrating and agonizing to play. Here's the thing though, if it was any other IP, original or not, it might have fared a bit better or be completely forgotten about. If it had more indication of what your speed was, had better controls, this could be a classic puzzle game. Hell, why not have it be a portable version of Kirby's Dream Course with a Sonic skin? At least then, it might have been fun. But right now, it is a slog of a game. I hate Sonic Labyrinth. There you go. The top worst Sonic games of the classic era as proven by science. And you know what? They weren't all that bad. I was genuinely surprised that these games were considered the worst of the worst. Yeah, I'm biased on a couple of them, but the rest were, well, not as bad as the critics and fans made them out to be. I think it just goes to show that being subjective is a lot more beneficial to you than going with the flow, being a sheep of the objective opinion. You can't just go around saying that this game is bad because so-and-so says it is. If you're curious enough, go and play it. Look at me, I didn't think Sonic Drift 1 and 2 were all that special, but I ended up actually enjoying my time playing them. Give some bad games a try. Sure, it's a gamble, or you might end up with some shit on your hand, but you might be surprised by what flawed gems you're missing out on.